Welcome everybody to Drug Discovery Diaries, our third episode. We're cranking them out nowadays. Season 2. It's great to be back. We are continuing with this theme of video, which I really like, and I think it's even better today because I'm not alone. It's not a sausage fest. Hillary is here, and we have a fresh, pleasant-looking face to help us get through these video podcasts, which are great. Once again, we're recording from the wonderful Biolabs for Advanced Therapeutics here at the Curtis Center. Melina and the team, spectacular. They've been so great to us over the years, and we're just so happy to be back here. The facilities are great. Anybody looking for, looking to start a company, please check out the combinations here. They're really, really wonderful, and the team is just spectacular to be around. We have, well, first of all, Hillary, it's been a while.
It has.
And so, we always like to catch up. And I know that you have an important life event coming up.
Yes.
With one of your boys. And excited?
He is very excited.
Is he?
Yes. He can't wait to get out of the house. He told us it was because he won't have to do chores anymore.
Oh my goodness.
So what he doesn't realize is that I still do 90% of the chores.
Well, now he's got to do them on his own.
He's got to do them
right?
on his
He's got to do his own laundry.
Yeah.
He's got to figure out how to feed himself.
Yeah. So we moved.
Wake up in the morning.
Mm-hmm. So he's going to University of Pittsburgh and starting at the Bradford campus.
Okay.
Bradford, Pennsylvania has a whole lot of nothing.
Okay.
It's in between mountains.
Okay.
Oil, fracking, coal,
All right.
natural gas.
All right.
So there's a lot of industry there, but it's beautiful. It's in Allegheny
Yeah,
County,
yeah.
Allegheny Forest. So it was great. We were just there a couple weeks ago. We met one of his roommates, and he saw kind of where he's going to be living.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a great time. But it's 5 hours away, so
Well, that's a little bit of
It's a hike.
commitment, right?
yes. And in the process, he is, because of the snow that they get there, he's going to be getting my car, which means I'm getting his car. So I am going to be driving the luxurious 2010 Ford Fusion
Nice.
for the foreseeable future.
Nice. Oh boy.
Yeah, no, but
That's
it's
cool.
yeah, it's been busy. It's been really busy.
Yeah, it's hectic a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Getting certainly the first one, but then getting any of them going for the first time.
Yeah.
And I think that and then there's the stress. I mean, my youngest, for a period of time, I would set an alarm on my phone to make sure I made sure she was awake to go to classes. And now I'm not saying, that the boy is like my daughter, but
He is. He's worse. But the difference is I won't be doing that. So he's going to have to fend for himself.
but they pick up on it.
Yeah.
Well, you're still a sleeper. We haven't even got to Andrew yet, but Andrew, we have a special guest, Andrew Devaney, with us today. Before I get into Andrew real quick, I'm modeling a Father's Day gift from my daughter's heavy metal. That's essentially them being sarcastic about how much of a science dork their father is. They gave me some interesting Father's Day gifts. Anyway, and so this is a shout out to them. Andrew, we're super excited to have you here for a number of reasons. One of them being, you came into our lives as a young boy. And we watched you grow as a young scientist and as a young adult. When did you first join us at Century?
It was basically right when COVID had started.
So 2020.
It was like March or April of 2020.
He was around the same time, I think, as Mark. Marilda,
Oh, right,
the three
right.
M's, and then Dandra.
Right. Who was the last one?
Maura?
Oh, Maura,
Yeah.
right. So you're just still a kid, as far as I'm concerned. Your name came up as a possible guest from somebody we all mutually know. she suggested, we won't name any names because we don't do that here, but you can figure it out, I'm sure. She suggested, somebody to talk about, science education and those kinds of things, which I thought was a great idea. But also, so I don't know if you, Hillary, ever look at the demographic analytical data associated with our podcast. We can do that on Spotify, and you can do it on YouTube now that we're on YouTube. And we started initially with a nice mix. So 50-50 boy-girl, male-female, and then a nice mix of, younger and older. Everybody now is like 45 and above. Very few young people.
Is it me, you and Mary?
No, but when I saw that demographic, and I'm like, well, one of the things we're missing. I mean, this is an issue. I think, Andy, you've heard me talk about this in the past too, where I have an issue with dogma that infiltrates the scientific disciplines, and people get stuck in their ways and that kind of stuff. And you, over the years that I've known you, Andrew, you always had a nice fresh perspective on everything. Now sometimes you needed a little kick in the ass to get you going in the right direction, but like everything was, I think it was well intended, and it was exciting to hear your perspective on things. And so, in addition to hearing about your educational pursuits, that road traveled, but also, how you perceive the future of science and medicine and research and, the drug industry and that kind of stuff. We'd really like to pick through some of that stuff. So we're, again, grateful to have you here. It's wonderful to be a part of this. Like you said, 2020, so that's 6 years ago. And you which co-op was it? We'll get into your education in a second, but was your first, second, third, what was the story?
It was my third and last co-op.
Third and last co-op, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was not totally sure that I wanted to do a third co-op, so I'm very glad.
Think about how your life would have changed if you had made that decision. So that's great. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where you grew up. We already sort of got out there that you went to Drexel. Why you chose Drexel? I'm sure we're going to have some questions about that. How you became such a science geek. I think that's an important detail to get into. I mean, I don't think, Hillary, we've ever touched on that about us, but we can throw in little bits about us here too. All those things, and then, your life at Century with us, and then post-Century, and where do you look to go from this point forward with regards to your career and all those things. So start us off, sir.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Thank you for having me. I'm Andrew Devaney. I grew up in a small town in upstate New York in the Hudson Valley area, Warwick. Beautiful place. My parents moved out of there, a couple years ago to North Jersey. It's a major step down.
Yes.
I definitely met your parents. Was that
Yes,
like
you did.
your 21st birthday or something like that? It was some event.
I was graduating.
You were graduating.
Yes, I was graduating.
And the thing, I didn't know when to insert this detail, but I don't think this is scandalous, but how old are you?
28 now.
Oh, 28.
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought you were a little bit younger. So I could definitely be your father. And I was debating whether or not I was doing the math, whether I could be your grandfather. And I'm not quite sure I could. Maybe on an extreme situation, but
This is an inappropriate conversation.
I just wanted to get it out there.
I mean, I could technically be his mother, but I'm not going to say that.
Because I remember when your parents were, I think your parents are younger than me, and that was difficult to take. Anyway.
I think they're older.
Are they really?
I think they're older.
Anyway, I digressed already. Go ahead. So,
Yeah. I'm the youngest of four, so.
okay.
Yeah. Growing up, I don't really know when I really got interested in science. I think it was always something that I enjoyed, and when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I think I always gravitated towards some kind of science or some kind of engineering. I think, later on in high school, I started to get interested in medicine and specifically in like therapeutics.
Really?
Yeah, I remember doing a project at some point in high school, and I did it on genetic engineering.
That didn't exist when I was in high school, but anyway, get
Yeah.
ahead.
And I was like, wow, this is amazing, and I'd love to do it someday and, use it. I think originally I thought like I'd make, biofuels or something like that.
Interesting.
And so, being the youngest of four, my oldest siblings are 5 years older than me. And so when I was starting college, they were actually just finishing and starting their careers. And so I was looking up to, my older siblings and seeing like, oh, it seems so cool
Yeah.
to be, getting, now you say this like, oh, getting a job and starting a career. And so I wanted to get a head start on that. And so getting, into science and really, kicking off a career was really important to me.
Right.
And so I didn't want to just like go to college and kind of bump my way around until I figured out what I wanted to do. And so, when I was applying, I was really interested in schools where I could, start to get career experience while I was still a student. And so
Very mature. I'm
Right.
proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. I think it comes with being the youngest.
True. Sometimes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
My
Let's go with that.
My siblings might disagree, but
Because all I wanted to do when I went to college was beer and girls.
that was not me. We had very different. Well, and Drexel was a different kind of school,
True.
I guess.
Yes.
But yeah, so I wound up going to Drexel. I looked at some other schools that had co-op programs like Northeastern and I think Rochester Institute of Technology. And so at Drexel, I got to do these 3 co-ops that were each 6 months long. And so I got to get exposure to science in different ways. I did one at the Fox Chase Cancer Center, which frankly kind of sucked. So I think.
You can edit that one out.
It's okay. Nobody knows.
I think it's good. You think going into it like, oh, I'll get this good experience,
Right.
but it's good experience and bad experience in a way,
Right.
that really helps you figure out what you wanted to do.
Right. Why did it not meet your expectations?
Well,
Change the language there.
I wasn't in the lab,
Okay.
so I was basically analyzing data.
Okay.
And it was not that exciting to
Okay.
me. The science was really interesting. It was about basically compounds in like Teflon and plastics and that are endocrine disrupting and how
Okay.
that might contribute or cause breast cancer. So the science behind it was very interesting,
Okay.
but I was not that. I was very much at arm's length from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was your first co-op.
Yeah.
And did you feel, was there, look, you're still young, and
Mhm.
is it after your second year or your first year?
Yeah, so I was probably like 19.
Okay.
And from my experiences, like there's anxiety,
Mhm.
going into the lab right off the bat,
Mhm.
especially if you don't have as much experience with, pipetting and some of the simple tasks. You don't want to blow anything up or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, but
It kind of eased you into it.
I got to do a little bit. Like I got to weigh some like spleens and livers from the in vivo study they had done.
You and Hillary.
Yeah, and that was the first and last time I've actually touched like a lab animal. So
Okay.
maybe that'll be in my future.
Probably.
Yeah.
Let's,
probably.
yeah.
I'm not looking forward to it.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to.
But yeah, coming from it, I was like, well, I know I liked the science, but I knew for sure I wanted to be in the lab.
More hands-on, that kind of
Yes,
stuff.
yeah. And also, that was very much like basic research. It was
Okay.
not on therapeutics or, really even like a disease mechanism that you could use to treat a disease. It was more
Okay.
basic science causes,
Okay.
etiology.
Yeah.
So-
Etiology.
Etiology.
That's what most
That's-
normal people would say, but that's okay. You're from New York.
Yeah, so it was eye-opening, and then, you know, I bumped it around through my classes for another 6 months, and then it was tough. You know, at Drexel, you were always on classes, you were on co-op,
Right.
and it went by very fast, actually.
Can I say what a wonderful school and program that is, too,
Yeah.
that Drexel has? You don't find that everywhere, and not only do you need it to be able to start a career, do you need that experience, but you also need to make sure that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, they think they want to do something, and then they get out there and they're like, why did I just get this, you know, whatever degree, and then I don't even like it. I mean,
like I said, my motivations for going to college were different. We'll leave it at that. But in hindsight, I mean, not too long after I graduated from college, I regretted not looking at Drexel harder because of just that. You know, because I not that you and I are very much alike, but I think the passion to wanting to get in there and explore, you know, because oftentimes, maybe things are different because, again, we're going back to how old I am, but you wouldn't get any experience, you know, until you try to get a job, number one, and so you're kind of locked into something. And then even in grad school, you know, you do rotations in labs to figure out where you want to do stuff, and those are not very long anyway. So that was, I think that's, Drexel, man. But you were just a biology major, right?
Yeah, just a biology major.
I always like to point that out because I kid. No, the biology majors are great. I love that. And again, like I used to have I had a boss in the early '90s. He was like, I was talking about grad schools. He's like, doesn't matter. You know, you need the experience and you need the letters. He would call them after your name. Didn't matter what program you got it in. Didn't matter. Get the letters. And so I think that's sort of instructive here as well. Okay, so the first co-op was less than desirable. Didn't meet necessarily all of your expectations, but you were getting your feet wet. And again, you know, Drexel with their spectacular program, you were going to have at least another one, if not two others, to go and explore further.
Yep.
So now we're talking, like what, 2019?
2018 or 2019, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I was working I got a position at GSK, and the group was muscle metabolism. So they were focused on, I'm mainly, I think, cardiac type things, but also, I mean, skeletal muscle as well, diseases associated with that. Also, I'd say I enjoyed that one more. I was definitely in the lab a lot more. I was for sure kind of a monkey in the lab, you know, a pair of hands. But that was good.
Lab rats, they used to call them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that's where everyone starts. So.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that going in. I was like,
Yeah.
well, at some point, this is going to happen. And so that's what I did for 6 months. I did a lot of Western blots.
Nice.
So I know Western blots and how bad they are. Did immunofluorescence, got to see, you know, beautiful microscope images.
Nice.
I still love a good microscope image. But it was not that exciting.
Okay.
It was still pretty basic science. It didn't feel super translational, and you know, I was kind of off to the side doing, you know, little projects. Nothing super, you know, high stakes.
Going back to the Fox Chase experience,
Yeah.
was there somebody who was responsible for you?
Yes. Yeah.
And then similarly, when you went to GSK, there was somebody who was. I mean, I always thought. I think when we had co-ops, and we, you know, Century lived through co-ops, and it really depended on the experience in general, and also the productivity, et cetera. Depended on who you got linked up with. You know, you got linked up with somebody who didn't care, and you were sitting, you know, taking notes or something like that, or analyzing data,
Bring
crunching
cups of
numbers,
coffee.
bring cups of coffee. You get somebody who's invested in you, and I think like we looked at co-ops at Century differently. We looked at them as future employees, and so it was worth the investment for us to spend with the co-ops, because someday they would be nice, cheap labor.
And that they were.
Anyway, so GSK was a little better.
Yeah, yeah. I think the expectation. I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself and start talking about Century, but you know, GSK is huge.
Gigantic.
I mean, it's gigantic. So like you being an intern there, yes, you'll get a lot of experience, but are you making, you know, a substantial difference?
Yeah.
Maybe within your team, depending on what you're doing, but you know, it's such a big company. There's so many teams, and you're kind of, you know, split apart from one another. And so, did I know people on other teams? Yeah, but you didn't have that kind of cross-functional, you know, discussions and hearing about what other people were doing. And so I definitely felt like that was lacking. Like I felt a little bit like, what am I really doing? You know?
I mean, was the point of the work like to identify targets, or?
Yeah, I was mostly focused on, and it's been a while. I don't mess up the slide.
Right, it's been like 6 years.
Yeah. There's a protein. I think it was PhD 1, which had some interaction with the E3 ligase or ubiquitin.
Yeah.
That was then like hypoxia sensitive, and so it was involved in basically ischemic events.
Okay.
And that's about all that I can remember at this
Okay.
moment. But, so once again, I mean, the science was interesting, but it really goes to show you that like the science can be as interesting as anything you've ever seen, but if the work itself and you know what you're actually contributing to it isn't, you know, exciting you, then you can only go so far.
And it's hard too because you're on a finite timeline. So it's not like you could sit there and try to develop yourself within a department or, you know, make moves or whatever, because you know you're stuck doing this one thing for a little while. Yeah.
When you're at Drexel, I mean, do you have an advisor?
Yeah, you actually get an academic advisor and a co-op advisor.
Okay. And are they instructive as far as, you know, trying to help you figure out your path? And
I always had a pretty clear idea of what I wanted to do, and so I think my advisors had a pretty easy job, to be honest. Because I always came in and I was like, this is what I want to do, and this is, you know, I've thought about, you know, how I want to go about doing it, and they just kind of rubber stamp it.
Okay.
So.
It's good. It's good to be that way. In the course of, you know, selecting a co-op, if I remember the process correctly, I mean, you literally, people post open positions for co-ops, and then you apply to them, and some you get, some you don't get.
Yep.
Right?
It was, you would put in your application, I mean, you made a resume and everything, and some of them you'd interview for, and then whichever ones you interviewed for, it's actually like the same way like medical school matching works.
Okay.
Is you rank them and they rank you,
Okay.
and if you were ranked first, it was actually just a job offer, which you could accept or decline. And if that wasn't your first choice, then it was this kind of matching system. But I mean, I think that's actually another good thing is it, you know, when I graduated, I knew how to interview for a job, and I knew how that whole process works and the kinds of questions you get, et cetera. So,
Did you ever not get your first choice? Because if I remember correctly, you were a little bit of a suspect student as far as grades were concerned.
Oh no, I was a very good student. I was a very good student. You know, I don't remember too much who else I was interviewing for at the time.
Okay.
I remember being very happy that I got the GSK one, maybe because it was paid and paid pretty well, actually.
But the first one wasn't?
No, that one wasn't.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I thought they always had to be paid, though. Okay.
No, well, it was technically part-time.
Okay.
So I think those, they don't technically have to because it's...
But you were like 16 back then, so anything you got would be fine.
I mean, I was happy when I got that. I don't remember who else I actually interviewed for. But, yeah.
Okay, so that's, now how about like your classwork, you know, leading, you know, going through the biology program, you know, was that helpful at all? as far as helping you, number one, sort of refine what you wanted to do, or maybe give you different perspectives on things to say, you know what, maybe this looks interesting. You can be truthful.
No, not really. I mean, I went through the class and I was like, oh, that's cool. You know,
Yeah.
this is interesting, and you know, oh, that's how that works. But
Okay.
I wouldn't say there were any classes where there was something I saw or I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. I think in hindsight, you know, I really should have been in like a biomedical engineering kind of program, because when I think now about the stuff that excites me, it was the same stuff back then. I just wasn't really exposed to it much. So I think in my case, had I, you know, taken some different classes, I might.
But again, you wouldn't have known that unless you did the co-ops.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah, I went to a school where they didn't do co-ops like Drexel does, but for any major they had an introductory course, and it was your very first semester that you're at the school, and for us they took us to different places that you could use your small animal science degree other than veterinary hospital. And that's where I was introduced to Merck, and I saw them doing biomedical research, and I was like, I'm not going to be a vet anymore. This is what I want to do.
Wow.
But that's what helped me make that decision in the absence of a co-op.
Mm.
So if you're doing something pretty general like biology, it's great to have those co-ops because
Yep.
that really helps guide you.
Especially in biology, because I mean, there's like a million. I think
You can go into so many
I think
paths.
more than half my classmates were pre-med
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So actually, sometimes being like, oh, I want to do the science, I like felt like an odd person out.
The oddball.
Yeah.
Well, go figure. Okay, so that's interesting. I think that's, I mean, it's one of those things we're just talking about, that Drexel co-op program. Man, anybody, you know, I highly recommend it for everything we were just talking about. I think it really, really opens eyes and opens doors.
Yeah.
And so tell us about this dilemma you were in about whether or not to do a third co-op or not.
It's pretty grueling when you're in it. I mean, it can be. I mean, there are good moments and bad moments.
The actual co-op or the entire program?
Going through it, because I mean, remember, so Drexel, if you're doing the co-op, you don't get a summer break after your first summer. So you're going all year long, and they were on quarters. I think they might have switched. I can't remember now.
Okay.
But so you had a quarter, which was about 10 weeks, and then you got like 1 week break.
Okay.
And I think you got like a 2-week break at the end of the summer.
Okay.
So it was very much, you were kind of always going, and the 10 weeks is pretty fast,
Right.
especially for a class. Like, before you know it, suddenly you're at midterms, and then suddenly it's finals. So it was going a lot. And then when you started a co-op, it was almost kind of a break because you didn't have homework and stuff.
Mhm.
But then you experience, you know, working 9 to
stress.
5 every day. So, and especially when it was at GSK, that was up in Collegeville, and I was commuting on the train, which was like
It's not easy. I live up there, so yeah. It's
like over an hour
Uh-huh.
one way. So that was pretty tiring. So I was actually honestly pretty burnt out by the time I was done at GSK. So I knew I was. I don't think they would have let me only do 2 co-ops, but I was asking them if I could. And I think my advisor told me, well, try to find one in Philly, maybe. Yeah, so it could be intense sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was like the emotional and physical drain of just, I mean, what is it, 5 years, the entire program?
Yeah.
So 5 years of going.
Mhm.
You're going for 5 years. And that could be really rough for somebody in their early 20s. I'm joking.
I think it's a big.
Early 20s.
Yeah.
I mean, especially, you know, the crazy social life you have to keep, and we'll eventually get to some of your hobbies. Yeah, really grueling. Anyway, but so your advisor prompted you to maybe look for another one.
Yep.
And maybe something that was a little more local so you didn't have to commute. I mean, look, Hillary and I can attest to the drama associated with commuting. It blows.
Horrible.
It is really bad, whether you're commuting on public transportation or driving. It's just unpleasant. That was the story of my life for decades and decades until 2019. So I sympathize with that. So you then decided, let me see what's out there. Let me see what's nearby. And by then, so this was, I guess 2019, 2020, the Philly biotech scene was really ramping up.
Yep.
I mean, I think the exciting period of the Philly biotech scene was 2019, 2020, maybe a little bit of 2018. And so there were companies popping up all over the place, small ones doing all kinds of diverse things, whether it be cell therapy, gene therapy, other types of biologics. So the potential opportunity was starting to rear its head.
Yep.
And so you went on the job board and you found this
Put
little.
in my applications and
Okay.
everything, and and I remember. So also now having done 2 co-ops, I actually had a pretty good resume
Right.
for somebody my age, because I've done all this lab work.
17,
GSK.
18 years old.
Well, I was probably closer to, I don't know, well, 20, 21, around there. Yeah. So, and I remember seeing one of the postings for Century, because they had I think my cohort, they took 11 or something.
There was a lot, yeah.
There were
Used to
there
get
were
a
a lot
lot.
of us. And I saw one in the protein engineering group. And
Which is probably the lamest group in all of
well,
Century, but
well, I disagree. But,
Might be the most important.
and I remember reading the description and what a car is, and
Right.
how you're taking all these different parts of different proteins and putting them together, and it does this amazing new thing. And I remember reading it, and I was like, wow, this is everything I always wanted to do. Thinking back to high school when I was
Wow.
reading about genetic engineering, and I was because that that interest was always there, but
Right.
I had never seen an opportunity to start pursuing something complex and,
Right.
and creative, really like that. And so I hit apply right away and interviewed with Jill and John.
what a duo. We'll get to what you thought about them in a minute.
And I just couldn't have been more excited. And I think I interviewed also for Liam's position that he had in vitro pharmacology, and probably some of the other ones as well. And I remember, and Shelby talked to me afterwards. She was like, "Was there one that spoke to you the most?" And I said protein engineering for sure, and it was no hesitation. And then I got the job offer.
Got the
and
job!
Yeah. And the rest was history, and I just thoroughly enjoyed my co-op at Century so much, and working on the protein engineering team, and also
Yeah.
seeing it get built over the time that I was
Right.
there. And my co-op was over, and I kept working, and then I wound up staying after I graduated, and I was there for 4.5, 5 years or so.
Yeah.
total.
No, that was, I think, thinking back, heyday of biotech in Philly, Century's, I think, greatest years were those growth years, which were 19, 20, and 21, that you had a part of, because not only were we growing from an FTE perspective, number of employees, but we're building the components. You referenced the protein engineering group was, it started off somewhat simple, taking what was known and trying to apply it, but then building HH libraries and all that, and then putting the pieces together and going after new targets. It was really fun. And I can't remember so your co-op, was your co-op project the Universal Car? or was it?
I started working on it while I was a co-op, yeah, and it was pretty early on. I remember Jill sitting me in an office and she had a slide deck about
Right.
it, and she was like, "This is what I want you to work on." And I was like, yeah. So,
You're a cheap date, man.
well, I think it was so much fun. I think part of just being in a biotech startup is like
Right.
it was not like GSK where like you're a drop in the bucket. Like I think I was technically employee 41 or something.
Okay.
So not that many people there.
Mhm.
So I actually got like actual projects and had to give updates, and people
Yeah.
were asking about my work. And
You
so-
were expected to have an impact.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. As a co-op, dear God,
Mhm.
you don't get any more
Hands-on.
real life and hands-on than that, you know? So that's a tremendous experience at very few. I mean, I used to joke with a lot of the co-ops, that their experience at Century was going to be the pinnacle of their career. You were never going to have, because, it's partly tongue-in-cheek,
Yeah.
but partly because, you were expected to have an impact. I think, without exception, the leadership, realized the value of you guys and took you guys seriously and wanted you to be contributors, spent the time with you. Everybody was, all the leaders were great, even Jill. But, no, joking, of course, because they really wanted to invest in you guys too, which I think is a rare thing.
Something you only get at a startup is getting to wear that many hats and having very little layers. So, at GSK you spoke to being pretty siloed, but it's also you have 10 layers above you maybe. But here you were interacting with people on the clinical side. You were interacting with regulatory, early discovery, in vitro, in vivo. So you got the whole drug development picture
Yep.
in a very short period of time with a project that was your own.
And the whole company was, pretty much working on one therapeutic or, a couple candidates for a therapeutic. And so you saw how each group was contributing
Yes.
to that.
Yeah, especially in research, that everybody was connected.
Yep.
You guys did, like I used to visualize it as things started in Jill's group, discovering cars, going after targets, that kind of stuff, and then it would progress the engineering, which you guys ended up doing a good bit on your own, which was a good thing, and then, the in vitro pharmacology, and then eventually the pinnacle would go in vivo.
Or in vitro and in vivo at the same time.
Or in vitro and in vivo. That's usually the case. Right? We have to hurry up.
Timelines, baby.
We have a deadline we have to make. Can you do both these at the same time? Yeah, that was usually the case. And so you got to interact with everybody, So that's another great thing. I think those early days, and I think you brought something. Not all the co-ops were great. I don't think we ever had a bad co-op. That was evidenced by the fact that we hired most of you. But you brought a great perspective and an energy. Outside the fact that you used to sleep in and you'd come in late, but whatever.
and wear sweatpants.
And wear sweatpants. But your dedication was spectacular. And there was a component of that time period where that protein engineering group, because one of the problems we had, we grew rather rapidly, and space back then was an issue. And so the management team was always trying to find extra space. Where can we put people? Because when we were in biolabs over at CIC, all the labs were taken. They were really we were squeezed into the couple labs that we had. Eventually, maybe getting one more, but found a little place in the building next door, 3711, and which I think was relatively a cheap space. It certainly looked cheap, but it fitted what was needed, and the team, was all right there. That was a fun period of time too for you guys to be interacting so intimately amongst yourselves. And so for someone like young like you, I mean, you know, getting quality time with Jill and John, like literally when they're, like, were you in the same office as
I
John?
was, yeah, we
That
sure.
must have been interesting. Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, he's, I mean, he's not super talkative, so it was great. He had a space heater.
I remember that. It was peculiar.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it was good.
Some of those offices were freezing. Liam and I used to have sweaters on,
Yeah.
sweatshirts plus a space heater when we
Yeah.
shared a spot. I mean, it was freezing.
Well, the first, you know, the very, very first space we had in CIC, 5th floor,
Yeah.
that corner, like when the first people got there, me being one of them, I mean, they didn't have the heating work then. So like Buddha had a hat on and a scarf and gloves, you know, and it was really, really, really cold. And that was a cold winter. That first, I think it was 2019. There was that polar vortex thing where it was, you know, in single digits for a couple of weeks on that. Anyway, we're digressing. Yeah, that was it was a fun period of time, and I don't think you could have, you know, yes, you can learn protein engineering from multiple labs anywhere or whatever, but that group in particular, you know, with Jill and John, as, you know, heading things up, incredible wisdom from those two to pass on to people like you.
And the freedom also. I mean, you as well. I mean, all of you were so willing and open to letting me explore if I, you know,
Yeah.
wanted to make a vector for this thing. It was, you know, I knew how to do it, and you were supportive, you know, within reason.
Yeah, I mean, that was, and we sort of touched on it a little bit, but that was one of the things. So like Andrew, you know, we haven't worked together for almost coming up on 2 years now. But periodically I'll get a text from Andrew, and it'll either be like literally text, what about this idea? Or
A scribble.
or it'll be like a paper, something like that, you know? And I think that's one of the things I really enjoy about Andrew, you know, pushing the envelope, willing to put yourself out there, you know what I mean? That's because, you know, some people would be too timid to talk to somebody who could be your father and suggest something like that. And you don't have any problem with that. You're completely comfortable with that, which is great. That's what you're going to need, you know, with your future endeavors that you're about to embark on.
Yep.
What was there something you could pin, like what was your best experience and your worst experience when you were at Century? Or like, you know, exciting times and challenging times.
Okay.
And you can't say, you know, the day, you know, we got
Yeah,
let go or
yeah,
anything like that. That's fine.
The best day, I think, definitely. I mean, the Universal Car project was
Right.
so. I mean, it was just so gratifying to see it like from start to finish.
Right.
Yeah, that was definitely the best. I mean, I still remember, you know, giving, you know, the presentation to the whole company. I think towards the end of my co-op about the Universal Car, and like, I thought it went really well.
It did.
Wow. It was,
Well, this is another aspect about you, and I don't know if it's unique for you, or maybe it's Drexel people or what, but your presentation skills were always really good, but mature. You know, I mean, they'll serve you well over the years as you continue to evolve. But that's sometimes. Did you have to give a lot of presenting when you were in school?
towards the end, yeah, I did like a combined master's degree,
Right.
so a lot of the graduate courses were actually undergraduate courses with like a graduate section. And I would get like a final project that was like, do a presentation on something. And so I did a lot of those, but I just always tried to think of it as like how I would explain it to myself.
Okay.
And I was just doing that for, you know, other people.
Very
So,
nice. Good piece of advice.
Yes,
Good piece of advice.
so you're
Yeah.
not 35 and just realizing that you need to present.
That's right. That's right. That is.
Well, I've seen plenty of presentations where they maybe could think a little bit more about that. So.
I mean, and some of it is just being like, I think you were referencing this. You know, you're going to explain it to yourself, and you've got to come up. I mean, that's part of the outside of knowing the material. You know, technically, finding the words.
Yeah.
That's the tough part. To me, that's always been a tough part, which is what words do I want to, can I, or should I use to get this across? And having them like right there at your disposal, so you don't look like you're stumbling over your words, which is not great either. But that's I think that comes with practice, and it comes with age and experience. But like you said, like if you know the material, like when I was in grad school, I remember this. You know, every once in a while you had to give a journal club, and you had to read some stupid paper, and then you had to present it to. I mean, it was a class of your peers for the most part. It was other students. And I used to marvel at a couple of the students who I was in school with, who literally would just, we used to have to use, so back then it was, I guess PowerPoint was coming of age, but overhead projectors, remember those?
Yep.
Right? And they literally make overhead slides and just throw them there and just start talking to it. And I'd be like, wow, I want to be like that guy, you know? No, that's a tremendous attribute, I think, associated with superstar performers. Okay, so obviously the Universal car was the pinnacle, and it was like the data was spectacular. I remember being in that office and you presenting in Jill's little weekly meeting some of the data, watching the killing as you dosed in the bridge molecule and everything, and how potent it was. I mean, I remember, because I used to do this when I was at J&J and developing a similar system, calculating how many molecules were needed, and it was really low.
It was like 1,000.
It was really, and that's kind of fun too. So is there anything you can put your finger on and say, I didn't like this too much? Don't worry, Jill will watch it, but she doesn't take it personal.
I'm remembering when we were doing it wasn't like bad, it was tedious.
Okay.
I remember we were like characterizing antigen density of Nectin-4.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to like make flasks and flasks and flasks of all these different cell lines to like.
And they're all solid tumors, so
and
they
some
take
of them
forever.
grew like so slow. I still have a picture on my phone. I had like one of the full like lab benches just full of empty flasks. Yeah. That's the worst moment that comes to mind when I was like, this sucks.
Just tedious work. Yes.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, I can sympathize with that too. I think we've all, you gotta get that piece of data, and sometimes it's just grunt work, and it's not very intellectually stimulating.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you could figure out a way to make it intellectually stimulating for all the right reasons, but it's still not, it's not the creative type of stuff, that I think you gravitated towards. So definitely, so you got a patent from the Universal car, which was nice, and then at least one other, if not, was there more than one?
There was one other. Yeah.
There was one other. So this was
provisional, I think. But
yeah, I doubt it was ever. I think a lot of those were abandoned, but I don't know for sure. This is typical Andrew. I don't know how did you come up with this idea? So, I used to call him Freak Boy.
Oh, I know.
because like he just operated at a different level. There was like a little bit of something going on with him all the time that you had to wonder what was going on in that brain.
What you're saying is he was smarter than you.
He was so. It wasn't. He's definitely smarter than me, and I think the thing that if I took it, if there was something to say about Andrew, on a reflection on me, that would bother me, is I think he's more creative than I am, which we'll get to, because I think that's definitely the case because of some of the other pursuits.
I do feel like he's right-brained, totally.
I don't know what that means.
He's creative.
Oh, for sure.
And he has emotion and empathy, and yes.
Well, you enabled me. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, I enabled you. No, because it used to be fun. When we moved to the other building, and the little boy would come walking in, and you're like, "What do you think about this idea? What do you think about that idea?" The way I was like, "Sure, go ahead. What's it gonna do?" But how did you come up with, the thought process behind the GPCR phenomenon?
I guess.
Well, tell people what this turned out to be first.
So the idea was, you have second generation cars which have, a co-stim and a ITAM domain. And there are third generation cars which basically have two co-stim and an ITAM domain. And like the difference between second and third generation cars, sometimes the third generation are better, sometimes they're worse, sometimes they're about the same, and it's not really super consistent. But the main idea is that as you get further from the cell membrane with all these different domains, they get further and further from the membrane-bound kinases that are necessary to actually make them signal. And so you kind of have a physical limit as far as what you can actually build before they stop working. And so the idea was, is there a way that we could add more while keeping them close to the cell membrane so that they're near these membrane-bound kinases? And so the idea, which was marginally successful, was to stick them onto a GPCR.
So you were looking for a scaffold
Yes.
that would allow you to sort of
Stick
layer in
more stuff
multiple domains,
on one protein.
but be more vertical instead of horizontal. Is that the right word?
Well, more horizontal instead of
More
vertical.
horizontal than vertical.
Your hand
Duh.
said the right thing, your mouth said the wrong thing.
I'm pretty old. Okay, and so were you scanning protein folds or something like that? Because you were also.
I think I went to Chris with I was like, oh, what if there was a way to do this? And he was like, what about a GPCR? Because they go in and out of the membrane 7 times, so they have.
Oh, so this was Chris's idea.
Well, Chris suggested the GPCR, and
Furniture.
and so I went on UniProt and I was like, what are some GPCRs I could
Right.
use? And I think I picked out a couple, and I designed in Snapgene and made the constructs. And a couple weeks later, I had the vectors, and I put them into T cells, and I was half expecting to see nothing.
Right.
They wouldn't even express, they wouldn't even properly fold or whatever. And I got the flow data back, and I was like, oh my god, it worked. And I think I ran into Chris's office, and I was like, it works. Well, I mean, they're there. We don't know if they do it. And then when I did some functional testing, and they killed tumor cells.
Wow.
It was never clear if they were any better or worse or something.
Right.
But yeah, I still think eventually, maybe one day I'd come back to it, see if I can tinker with it and make it work. But it was so much fun just to go through the idea from start to finish and actually make it. And I mean, you let me, so it was good.
I had any say in the matter.
Well, you and Jill and Chris all let me.
But again, benefit of your first role being in a small startup biotech,
Yes.
where
Right.
you have that bandwidth, creativity, to do those things. If you don't get to do that
Yeah.
in a larger pharma environment.
Yes, yeah.
But also, you were, this is marginally impactful, but you were in Philly. The company was in Philly. Literally, if you wanted to come in on a weekend or you wanted to stay a couple hours later or whatever to play around,
Right.
it wasn't going to have a gigantic impact on your lifestyle. You don't have to wait for the train or anything like that, dear God.
Yeah, for a while I lived a 5 or 10 minute walk
Yeah.
from the office, so.
Yeah, you still came in
I'm
late.
so jealous.
Okay, so that was also exciting. No, it's what I think we had that sort of, that group in particular, I believe, had, there are others too, certainly Barry and Boo's group to some extent, a little bit of freedom to play.
Mhm.
Obviously we had goals and objectives, we had to hit them every year, but I think the expectation was always, especially during those first few years, what can we discover that could be, owned by us and novel for
Mhm.
us, and maybe push the field forward. Because around then it started to stagnate a little bit towards the end, which was unfortunate. But that was, I think, an expectation, and you can only make good on that if you have the right people, and clearly you were the right people. So that was spectacular. So at least, okay. So the other sort of side note, you can, if it's not already on your resume, it should be. I mean, you've written parts of patent applications, or at least invention disclosure. So you have that, which I think is a good thing to have experience with.
That's
for
actually not
someone.
on my resume.
Well, why is that not on your resume?
Well, then
Should be.
I should have talked to you. I should have sent it to you.
That is, no, I mean, because it's essentially over the years, you'll have a laundry list of patent applications and issued patents, which is a testament to your creativity, and so that's good. While you were at Century, though, I mean, I think this experience and some others, I think you already expounded on, you really liked protein engineering, and you sort of gravitated towards those types of details in your work, but also, your creative mind. I think you were the one who, Andrew, suggested bringing in AlphaFold and that kind of stuff to help with us to understand protein structures at a different level, and I think that was a great idea and very useful. But then you got this bug, you wanted to go to grad school.
Yeah.
And how did that bug get in there?
I guess, I mean, I was going through Century, and I was like, I love what I'm doing. I think for the most part, I mean, at first I was just worried I would hit a ceiling.
Right.
And so graduate school seemed like, the way to avoid hitting that ceiling a little bit. But when I thought about what I would want to do, it really wasn't all that different from what I was already doing at Century.
Right.
I didn't really have new ideas of like, this is, where the field is going and what I think if back then, if I had my way, I would basically just take everything I was doing at Century and just be doing it at a university instead.
Right.
I was super interested in, and still am, in de novo protein design, because we were doing so much protein design at Century.
Right.
And it's a little bit blind when you're not doing it in a structure-informed way. And you're also kind of limited to the structures and proteins that already exist in nature. And so I was pretty interested in, for a while, if you want a function that doesn't exist yet, can you design a protein from scratch to do that function? Which I am still super interested in. But that was what got me thinking about grad school, and kind of started to show me like, okay, there are things that I might want to do that I don't know in my career in industry will I ever get the chance to really do that. And so that was, I mean, it took me 3 tries to get into grad school, but that was what got me starting to think
I mean, that whole de novo design thing, I mean, that's the holy grail of protein engineering.
Yep.
There's whole companies with their AI platforms
I was just about to say.
dedicating themselves to, professing that they can do this, or they are close to being able to do this. I don't think they're there yet. It's certainly an improvement over, just doing it blindly. It's interesting, the parallels between you and me. Maybe this is going to scare you a little bit, but like when I was doing my first tour of grad school, or going into grad school in the early 90s, I was enthralled. I was so impressed with structure, protein structure. And, I was a chemistry major when I was in college, and NMR was starting to be used, and I thought about, how could that be applied? And there was a group at Jefferson that was doing that, but still X-ray crystallography was still the standard back then. But I remember talking to a professor on the younger side, and I told him, he said, Mike, what do you want to do? When when you get in the grad school? And I said, I'd like to do, protein structure function kind of stuff, actual crystallography. He's like, I said, dude, you don't want to do that. He's like, you're just going to be making crystals your whole life. It's the most boring thing in the world. And I never went into it. But I think, that discipline eventually is still graduating to, the de novo design stuff, because all those crystals and all those structures are the groundwork for everything that's being done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's, that's the natural course of, I think, where that field went, or, where it was and where it's going. So that's cool. So, but did you one failed attempt to get into grad school?
Two,
really?
yeah.
But when we talk about attempts, we mean like applying 1 year, applying another year, applying another year.
Yes. Yep.
And if I remember correctly, you're going to be starting at Penn
Yes.
in literally a week.
Yes.
And do you have a lab picked out? Do you
Yep.
what drew you to Penn outside of proximity to where you live?
I mean, there's just so much. There's so many labs at Penn. I have so I had to do 2 rotations. I have them pretty much picked out now, so I'll do those. But I love cell therapies. I want to keep doing cell therapies. I've gotten much more interested in. I know you hate immunologists.
I hate them.
But kind of, more broadly tumor immunology,
Mhm.
not just CAR T cells, but what is the rest of the immune system doing in the tumor,
Right.
and also what happens during carcinogenesis that tumor immunity breaks, and how can we use therapeutics like cell therapies or.
Do you know about the startup we're trying to start?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
It's kind of the same thing.
I know. I know.
He's like, I'm going to grad school for a reason.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I love your idea. So I'm.
You just need the investors to love it.
Yeah, right. Got any money? Your parents wealthy?
I'll buy some lotto tickets.
Well, I mean, finish your story. So you found a couple labs.
Yeah.
Let's fit
so-
that bill.
Yes, and between Century and now, I worked at another company, Dispatch, and we were doing oncolytic virus, which is very much
Right.
kind of in that vein, where
Right.
you can use this viral vector to kind of transform the tumor microenvironment,
Mhm.
get antigen spreading, and so that idea of kind of not just having one CAR T cell, and this is what's
Right.
driving your anti-tumor activity. Really getting the entire immune system back involved into the response, how it normally should be
Right.
when you don't have cancer. So I think for me, I was very interested in this, but also people have been trying to do this for years
Right.
with cell therapies, with antibodies,
Right.
with oncolytic viruses, with cancer vaccines, and none of them, some successes,
Some success, right.
a lot of failures.
Right.
So I think a lot of it too is, understanding the data that we're getting from these clinical trials. Like, well, why aren't they working?
Right.
Why are they working on some patients and not others? Why do they stop working when they have? And I think industry is a little bit limited in that sense to
Right.
have access to that kind of data.
Sure.
And so, Penn is fantastic with the number of clinical trials they have
Yeah.
going,
Mhm.
and access to that data. And so I'm really looking forward to being able to take that and incorporate it into a translational perspective and,
Right.
and see, if we have learnings from this, how can we incorporate that into new therapeutics?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So taking you sort of alluded to this already, with well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think everyone will say that, we look forward to all the success stories that will come out of you in the coming years. Don't forget where you started.
Never will.
You explained while you want to go into these particular labs in the field you want to. I mean, as far as the future, as far as therapeutics and those kinds of things, where do you think we're headed, and even our understanding of cancer, and you talked about this a little bit already. Is there something that you're keeping your eye on to pay attention to that you think could really flip a switch?
I would say, I'm of course biased for the things I
Sure.
think that are cool, and I hope those kinds of approaches make a difference. There's been such a revolution with the in vivo CAR T.
Yeah.
So I think developability of therapeutics, especially for cell therapies, will become a lot bigger. And I'm really excited by mRNA as well.
Okay.
I think the ability to specifically target tumors is getting better and better and better
Okay.
with every year. Working with oncolytic viruses, that was kind of another way that I saw that the field is moving towards that, and that you can get this therapeutic that can specifically target tumors and not really healthy tissue as much. So I really think I don't think that it's a question of like which one is going to win. Is it going to be an antibody, or is it going to be a cell therapy or an mRNA? I think the learnings from all of these will
Help it
yeah,
get to
it's
that
like
point.
a rising tide,
Yeah.
lifting all those.
Incremental successes to help really define what true success will look like. That's the way things have been since the beginning of drug discovery. The first antibody therapeutics were fully mouse, and then they were chimeric, and then they were humanized, and cell therapies were the same story. Like these incremental achievements to get you to the current state. So it's just it's good to have that appreciation for that reality. It's also good to be getting into it young. That way, you'll be around when maybe something hits. Well, this has been great. The one thing we haven't talked about yet is, the other aspect of Andrew. We have referenced multiple times how creative he is. He's right-brained, as Hillary pointed out, whatever the hell that means. But you're also an accomplished musician, and you play what is it, the bass fiddle or something like that?
Play the cello.
Bass fiddle.
You play the cello, yes. I just like to tease you about that. Clearly you're still playing.
I do.
Are you still playing with the crew that you used to run in?
Yeah, I play with so at Penn there's a medical orchestra, so
Okay.
it's made up of med students and doctors, nurses, biomedical researchers.
Rough crowd.
They're all a lot of fun. So I play with them, and then I have a lot of people that I do smaller groups with. Actually, this past weekend I did a solo recital just by myself,
Nice.
which was a lot of fun. So that was kind of my summer project.
That was one of the things I learned about you. I'm trying to think when it was that I learned this about you, but it might have been Jill used to run the night thing for I think most of the time when she was at Century, and had the great idea to put this gala together, and which was a spectacular event across the board.
So much fun.
So much fun. So kudos to her. And I don't know, did she bring this up, or did you bring it up to actually have a concert?
I think I had the idea to have a concert, and Jill was like, "Oh, let's do a gala."
Oh, okay.
So
That's about right.
Yeah.
Knowing Jill. Oh yeah, let's convert
It
this
was
into a
perfect though,
gala.
it made it so uppity.
Oh yes.
Yes, it already was, and it made it even more.
Everybody would get all dressed and
Oh,
everything
yeah.
like that. The hair and the makeup
Uh-huh.
and the heels, the tuxedos.
My team had this goal for each gala to try to outdo each other.
Oh my gosh.
As far as dressing up. So.
But were there two or three?
There were
3.
there were 2, and then I wasn't at the third one.
The third one.
Yeah.
But so the two where we were both at, the 2 galas, and you played. I'll never forget. I was brought to tears listening to you guys play. It was so beautiful. And but then the tears would dry quickly because then it was comical watching Andrew. I mean, Andrew is an intense bass fiddler, cellist. I love watching the emotion come out while you play. I mean, that's another outstanding, I think, component to your existence. Not only how good you are, but I mean, your display. You know, like the music, you hear the music, but you can also see the music to some extent manifesting itself. Your hair's all over the place. Spectacular. It's really, really a sight to see, let me tell you. So you've been playing the cello for how long?
I think, if not 20 years now, almost 20.
Are there any other musicians in the family?
My two brothers, one plays guitar and the other plays bass guitar. My sister played violin, but she hasn't in many years.
Wow, interesting. Well, a very talented family, very talented individual. This has been a lot of fun for me, reminiscing about the past and hearing your story. I mean, I love to hear. I'm writing an autobiography.
Really?
And I think, because I think it's the story, that path everybody takes. I'm doing it for my daughter, so they have something like, okay, Dad, because I regret not knowing more about my parents and all their histories, and so get a handle on that before you end up regretting it. But like the stories within the stories and how that shapes who we are, what the career, like even the career paths. Like I'm not even through my sophomore year of college yet. But
how long is this autobiography?
So far it's 40 pages, so I got a ways to go. But
I'm thinking this should be much longer right now. Sophomore year in college, I mean, I feel like you're going to go back and add a bunch of stuff.
well, that's what inevitably that ends up happening. Oh, I forgot this story. Oh, I forgot that story. But the interesting career paths that we each take. Everyone thinks, oh, it's you go to college and major in biology, and then you go to grad school and you do a postdoc, and then you go and get you get your first position in academia or something like that. It never turns out that way. And it's not even worth it. Like, I wouldn't even want that, like the ups and downs and going. Like, one of the greatest things that probably ever happened, I think to us was, leaving Century. Like, literally had to go and think again about what do you want to do, what do you love, what do you really want to spend your time doing, because you get comfortable. We were all very comfortable.
I call it pigeonholed.
Well, there was that too.
Yeah,
there was that too.
You're good at something, and
Right.
you like something, so you wind up staying in that, and then
Right. There's nothing better in this world than getting a kick in the ass every once in a while.
Getting uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
That's the only way you.
Right.
I think you also get a little bit of blinders that what you're working on is like the best thing.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
No, I agree, 100%. So that's great. So keep in touch. Keep sending, me texts with, these ideas that are out here. I want to hear about them.
Absolutely.
And we'll try to get together periodically and learn about what each of us are doing. I think that's always fun. And I don't know, closing thoughts, young lady.
It's wonderful to see you. And I'm very proud of you and the decisions you're making, because they're very conscious decisions. They're very thoughtful as far as what you want to do, where you want to be, what you want to work on. And they're things that you're not doing to try to necessarily prove yourself. You're doing it to give you happiness, inner fulfillment. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of not doing that. Your generation's a little different. Not to age myself along with Mike, but I mean, we were looking for somewhere to make money because that's what our parents taught us. Yes, we want to do something we like, but we also felt like we had to make money. You were genuinely going after what's your dream and taking all the right steps. So, good for you. I applaud you. I think it's great.
Thank you.
Yes, we're all very proud of you. All very proud of you. Closing thoughts from you?
I am so glad that I got to do this. Century and meeting you guys, you've been so impactful on me, so it's just so great to reminisce and just think of, I would not at all be where I am today without all of you guys.
I think the century part of my autobiography will be about 100 pages, because there's so much there.
I mean, there is, and I feel like that was a definite moment in my career. I call it kind of like the best moment of my career in a lot of ways, because it really taught me so many things, like tons of good things, tons of things that maybe, okay, weren't great, but at the same time, it's these crucible moments that kind of help guide you for the rest of your life.
Yep.
So, I mean, so I will thank Century, even if you say goodbye to me, I will thank you for it. Yeah.
I used to tell people, like, I mean, we were there when it went public.
Yeah, and that was amazing.
Nobody gets to experience that. That was legendary.
It's a bucket list item.
Yeah.
That was never on your bucket list.
Yeah.
You're like, holy crap, no one else does
Nobody
this.
gets, so it was
Yeah.
like, you can't fault it for that.
No.
Can't fault the experience, for some of the small things towards the end, because what we got to do and experience that the entire time, most people, the vast majority of people do not get to experience it, so that was great. All right, well, Andrew, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure, and thanks for coming on board.
So nice.
And we'll hopefully get this published soon, and hopefully we can do it again
Yeah.
after your, we'll check in after your first year of grad school.
Maybe we can like drag Barry in here, get him off of vacation.
Oh, I know, but we don't want, that's not that guy, he's got other priorities, so.
It's summer.
It's summer. Right. All right, very good, thanks everybody, take care.